Okay, you guys. This morning we are hearing a testimony from Cynthia. She's never seen anything like this. She hasn't been a part of anything like this before. Um, but she thought it would be really fun and a nice way to kind of introduce herself to what will be her church family going forward. So I'm going to do like a question and answer kind of thing. So I'm gonna move this out of the way, and we're gonna sit in those screen chairs. Yeah. Okay. Okay. We practiced a little bit sitting on the couch last night. So I wrote down some pointed questions. Okay. So Cynthia Fields, who are you, and what's some of your background?
Um, I'm Cynthia Fields. I'm married to Wyatt Fields. He's the middle child of the Fieldses, and he's been gone for 20 years. And I've known him for 20 years. And I was born in Virginia, and I joined the military, and we both ended up on the same ship together 20 years ago.
Yeah. So before you met Wyatt in your childhood, did you go to church? Did you have a relationship with God as a child?
Um, feels a little more weird being on stage instead of on a couch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my parents had been to United Methodist Church. We grew up on Chincoteague Island in Virginia, so there was a United Methodist Church that looked like a castle. It was the only stone brick building on the island, and it was very beautiful, and it had stained glass windows.
Very East Coast.
Everyone wore robes, and I remember we went for a little bit, and I was in the children's choir. They had kids rehearse the songs and sing for the church, which was really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So,
What was special about it that you remember?
the songs were really beautiful, and I loved being inside the church. It was extreme vaulted ceilings, and I remember like the pews were like a red velvet. It was very shiny. It just stuck out in my memory.
You mentioned last night that the giving, the heart of the people really touched you. You hadn't seen something like that before.
Yes, my father is a paranoid schizophrenic, and his family all has similar diagnoses. And my mom, she was working to support us while my dad suffered major bouts of depression. So we hadn't really experienced anyone helping us. Like his family wouldn't help, and my mom's family was in a different state. So I remember going to the church, and they had a food pantry, and they would give us food weekly. And one of the older ladies, she bought us Easter outfits so that my brother and I felt loved for Easter. And that stood out as well. Like, it was the prettiest I'd ever felt. And it was also one of the last times we were at the church before my father decided we shouldn't go back.
So that's when things took a turn. Your teen years, your father decided you shouldn't go back because he decided that he was Jesus.
Yes, my father decided he was Jesus, and that we should be worshiping him instead of God. And that never felt right to me, and I didn't really think that was appropriate. But he ended up, so he took medication, and he had stopped. And he ended up in the hospital for several weeks after trying to end his own life. But in the midst of all that, he thought he was Jesus. And Yeah, it was very upsetting for everybody.
Yeah, he tried really hard to convince his kids that God did not like them, was punishing them. And so I asked her, I said, that's pretty crazy that you are then willing to not turn away from God. You didn't seek him out for a long time. Your teen years, you were able to leave your grandma. You moved in with your grandma.
Yes. Well, so I had a memory where my father had blamed God for all of our problems. And I remember asking my mother, if God loved us, why would he do this to us? And I didn't like God. And as soon as I said it, that felt wrong. And I was probably in 5th grade or so. So I was like 10 years old. But when I said it, it just felt incorrect and wrong. And I never have said anything like that again. And I knew that wasn't right. And when I turned 15, I decided, we had moved and we were near my grandma. She's been coming, Virginia. We brought her with us. So she's living with us, and so is my mom. I moved in with her because my father, he threatened to end his life again, and he'd stop taking his medicine. And I said it wasn't a healthy place to be, and my grandma said I could move in with her. And she was religious, she believed in God, but she didn't have a home church. So it wasn't until I joined the military and I was in boot camp that I had a moment where I was like, I can't do this. I was like 17, and they had a chapel on base where you could go and pray to God and you could sing, and it helped me get through boot camp. I don't think I would have made it through boot camp without being able to go to the chapel and pray and sing the hymnals with the chaplain.
Yeah. And you mentioned that it started off a little bit selfish. You just
Yes.
wanted that space and that peace away from the craziness of boot camp. But that seemed to be a turning point for you.
Yes, I felt it started a seed for music, finding that music was helpful for me, but it took a lot of years. It took 10 years before we ended up in another church where they had, I was touched by the music again. And we were at a Church of Christ in Jacksonville, and I wanted to be baptized. So I got baptized there in that church. And part of it, what moved me was the singing. They had a choir where they didn't have instruments. It was a cappella, and some of their singers just sounded like they had the voices of angels. And they baptized me. And it was a full submersion, which I'd also never experienced. I didn't even know that was a thing. And that was pretty amazing.
Were you inside? Was it one
Yes.
of those inside ones?
So it was huge vaulted ceilings, and they had a cross, but it was like 2 stories up. There was like a little section in front of the cross that you couldn't see. That's where the tub was, where you could be baptized. But you couldn't see it if you were just sitting inside the church.
We have a lot of smaller churches around here, so I've only seen that a couple times. I always
Yeah.
think it's funny. Oh, there's a bathtub in here, guys.
Sorry.
So you had, at that point, decided to dedicate yourself to God, to a Christian life, but immediately things started pulling you back away from it, and you didn't, and we talked about this last night, you didn't really have a solid foundation to even feel that was Satan attacking you.
Yes, I had been baptized while pregnant, and the pastor had said his mom was also baptized while pregnant, and I was very excited about it. And then a couple weeks later, I lost my child, and then that was pretty devastating. But we had a church, and they were praying for us and rallying around us, and it happened again. And then I was just completely crushed, and my husband didn't really know how to help. And we were leaving. We were moving from Florida, where our church was, to California, where we had nobody. And California, can you imagine? They've got problems of their own over there. we found out we were pregnant with Remington in Texas, driving from Florida to California. And I was in full panic mode. I didn't know how to handle that.
I remember you texted when you were like driving through Texas.
Yes.
Like you took a test in a truck stop
A
bathroom.
Love's gas station, yes. But I couldn't understand at the time why I'd come to God, and I finally was baptized, and then this one of the most horrific things ever happened to us. I couldn't reconcile it, and there was so much other stuff going on. I didn't have any way to process it, or I hadn't discovered prayer yet either.
Right.
I didn't know, like I went to church, but it was like a thing we did on Sunday, and I didn't know praying every single day was a thing that people did, or that it was even helpful. I figured, I'd always believed in God, but I figured he was this big cosmic being that didn't have time for me and my ridiculous problems. He had bigger things going on, and I was actually worried about angering God by bothering him, because that's what it was like with my father. Like you tried to stay out of the way so that you wouldn't make him angry and incur his wrath. So I kind of thought that's what's going on with God. But then Remington had lots of health issues, and my husband was deployed constantly, and I absolutely didn't know what to do. I had severe postpartum depression, and my sister-in-law, who I didn't really know very well, who I thought was a hippie, she's like, well, just move in with us. Just come here. We'll take care of you. And I didn't know how to handle that either. That was one of my first, besides the church that had given us food, that was a big deal for us, like seeing the love of strangers and Christians towards me. So that was a big step.
So more recently, fast forward a couple of years, you have been trying to claw your way back to building a more solid foundation. You've become more aware of the way that you were pulled away. What has helped you in maturing?
So I've always felt like there's a void inside me that I'm trying to fill with something, and I tried going to doctors. I have chronic pain problems and migraines and fatigue and panic attacks, all of the things. And so I tried.
Her father threw her out of a moving vehicle when she was little.
Yes.
Her body never really recovered from that.
Yeah, I have, they saw on x-rays, my neck and my skull aren't aligned properly from where I was chucked out of a car when I was 5. But I tried filling it with spending money or eating food or going to doctors for medication, and absolutely nothing was helping. I tried using my husband. I thought the love of my husband would help, or Kim's family, and I ran out of things to try, and even music wasn't helping. And I realized, I started listening to the lyrics of music on the radio, and all of the songs were awful, talking about people cheating on each other or abusive relationships. And I just was clicking through the stations disgusted, and I found a Christian radio station in Jacksonville. And every single song had me crying. It was just beautiful. And I haven't really listened to the radio since. I've just listened, besides the Christian radio station. And they would talk to you. They would pray for you on the radio, and I'd feel really moved by that. And they also suggested they would advertise for Christian companies or apps to help people. And one of them was Hallow, like HALLOW. It was an app that could teach you how to pray. And that's when I started praying. That was about 2 years ago, where I found the music and then found a way to learn how to pray. And that was a big deal. So last 2 years has been me learning I can pray every single day, and God does love me, and I'm not worthless or useless. And even if I'm not as busy or helpful as some people, God still loves me, which has been pretty amazing. I feel less thirsty, and I feel like the void I've had inside me has been filled with Jesus.
And leading up to that, you had, when you had Remington, it really threw your body completely out of whack. They diagnosed you with psychosis and medicated you super heavy.
Yes.
And you had to
Sorry.
You had to wean yourself off of that, and then so what you were saying about prayer and how that helped that's my next question. I want to hit on that. How prayer helped you, not with your mental health.
I've always had a lot of negative self-talk. It's what I was used to. That my father thought all women were evil, and he would tell us that daily, and say that my mother had tricked him into marriage by getting pregnant, even though it takes two people to have babies. But so I'd have lots of negative self-talk, and I remember my doctor that I'd had in Washington, she had me on 12 different medications. And when we moved back to Florida, we had family friends there. And then when we saw them, they pulled me aside and said, "What is going on with you? You are a zombie. You're completely different than when you left 10 years ago." And that really, really struck me down. I hadn't even noticed. No one had really noticed because it was a slow thing that happened to the people that were around me every day. And that's when it took me 6 months to wean off of all of that medication. And there were some extreme side effects to coming off of it. But once I did, I was actually in a better place. A lot of the medication that I was on caused symptoms that got me prescribed more medicine to deal with those symptoms. So a lot of my problems kind of went away when I got off the medicine. And praying, one of the things that the prayer app had us do is pray about things you're thankful for. And I do that every single day before I go to bed. I used to ask him to help me because I literally couldn't think of anything positive in my life. As much as I love my husband and my child, I would get so spiraled that I couldn't see the positivity in that. And before I go to bed every night, I just start with something simple, like I'm grateful for indoor plumbing. I would hate to not have indoor plumbing. I'm grateful for a roof over my head. Clean sheets, food. And then, oh my gosh, I am totally thankful for my husband. And my kids. I actually have kids. I'm thankful for my family. Like, it starts to get like a bigger snowball. But I found starting with something small that, like, if I didn't have that, I'd be really upset. It helps with the negative talk, and it helps get me going with the positivity. I fidget a lot because I'm in
You're fine. You're
pain.
fine.
I'm sorry about this.
She would say, I don't have anything. And I would just do the teacher look. Seriously.
Yeah.
No, I'm thankful for plumbing.
I'm so thankful for plumbing. And my family.
Yes.
Perspective.
Yeah. So then, one of the things that you mentioned last night was there's this weird disconnect between Christians that have been Christians a long time and new Christians. Like, here's a scripture for you.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, great, thanks for the address to a scripture.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean anything because it doesn't have any context for you. So I thought that was interesting. We're in a room full of longtime Christians.
Yes.
That it's not as helpful as you might think it is to just give someone a scripture. There's no context to it. So, like reading some of Paul's letters, and you were like, what? He was in jail?
Yes.
And that context really helped you draw some things to it.
We were going to a Bible study out at the foundation school that Kim works at, and one of the verses was, "Be not anxious," which Kim knows is just my absolute favorite because I have huge
She's
anxiety
anxiety.
problems. And she's like, don't you just love it when people tell you, oh, just stop being anxious, just stop being sad? I'm like, I would love to do that. But then I have ChatGPT, and I've been using it to unpack scripture, and it tells me the context. It tells me who said it, where they were when they said it, and what it means. And even Kim knowing I've never read the Bible all the way through. I'm working on it right now. But it said Paul was in jail, persecuted, colds, hungry.
Just read me a
And was
text.
like, just be fine. It's fine. I have Jesus in my heart. I'm not going to be anxious about it. I was like, that the context of that, it's not someone sitting in a temple with their fancy robes, clean food and water. Yeah, just don't be anxious, guys. It's fine. To know that he was in jail and persecuted, and he was so faithful when he said it. It's a different way of hearing it. Like, oh, I guess where I'm at in my life, maybe I can try to be less anxious if Paul could do it. Like seeing someone else being able to do it who's in a worse position than I am was really powerful.
Okay, so now, where to now? Over the past year, you and Wyatt has felt called to step more into a pastoral role in his future, looking at retirement in the Navy, and you have felt a desire to step up and solidify your foundation of faith. How has that, this past year, with that in mind, how has that journey been for you?
Well, it was interesting because I've been trying to learn more about the Bible, actually reading things instead of having things told to me. But I won't understand something, and I'll ask him or my husband, and both of them are able to really get in the weeds with it. And my husband is super good at it, and he's always wanted to be a teacher. And I'm like, you can't do that. It doesn't make any money.
So let's be a pastor.
But
Then you're keeping less money.
part of the point of him doing the 20 years in the military was the retirement that you get. And I had said, well, if you were able to make it to 20 years, you would be able to do something that didn't pay as much, something that really speaks to you and feels like a calling. And he was just unpacking the Bible again one day, and I was like, oh my gosh, you could be a pastor. And he was shocked by that, and I think humbled by it, because he's always been very secure in his faith growing up here. He's just always been very aware of God and his relationship, and he's a great role model for me. Like I've been chasing that the last 2 years. The same with Kim, wanting to feel that security, to feel like I know more about the word and what it means, and to feel like I could help others with that. So yeah, I've been striving towards that. And being here, I've been trying to volunteer at the school, and I would love to sing more, but I don't know any of the songs. So I need practice with them. It's just the one run through. Sometimes like I might need a little bit more help with it, but
Yeah. So I would say that to sum it up, the past year or so you have been extra intentional with your faith, and with that in mind, what would you say some of your perspectives today are compared to your perspectives back in the day? Like what are some different perspectives now from a place of faith?
something I'd wanted to say was, like when I lost my first baby, the idea of like, why is this happening to us? I never understood why I had the father that I had, why I had such a hard time in the military with the stress of it and the schedules and what happened with our babies. And it always felt like something was happening to me, and I couldn't understand it. The last year, though, I've looked back and thought, without having gone through each of those things, I wouldn't have met my husband, who I absolutely believe I'm supposed to be with. I wouldn't have Temperance and Remington, who are just absolutely amazing kids. And Remington, he spent the last 4 years in a Christian school in Florida. I was very adamant that we do that because I wanted him to have a more solid foundation than I did. I didn't want him to ever question his foundation like that. And it feels like looking at dominoes now. Like I was meant to go through all those things, the trials that Kim had mentioned. David wouldn't be David without Goliath. And now looking back at it, I would go through all of it again so that I could feel this way now. I could feel loved by God and Jesus, and it really means something. And Kim had told me one time, she shared with me that I was feeling dark because Wyatt was pulled away to sea again when he wasn't supposed to be. I'm like, I can't, I'm so tired of being gone all the time. And she said that we were seeds in winter, like you're buried underground and it's cold and it's dark, but spring is going to come and you're going to burst forth and be a meadow of flowers. And I was like, I took that imagery and I've been holding on to it. And I'm like, we are ready. The last 20 years have been intense and we're ready for our flowers to bloom in.
We have a song we're going to play when we're done here to touch on that for you guys.
Which she sent me at the time,
yes.
And it made me cry like a baby.
But so let's to wrap it up. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on? Did you want to talk about this past weekend? Little cherry on top.
I got to go on the walk with Christ. Thank you to everyone who wrote me letters. It was very unexpected to get letters from the church, and it was funny because I'm not great with faces and names. I recognized names on the letters, but couldn't put the faces to some of them. The first day I got them, I didn't recognize anyone's faces. Like I saw names. I'm like, oh, I don't remember who these people are per se. But I didn't get anything from relatives. Or Kim, I didn't see anything from Kim or my husband or anything like that. I was like, it's fine, it's fine. It's okay. I was not trying to have any expectations. And then the next day, my bag was overflowing because they had mixed everything up, and I had tons of stuff for 3 days worth of mail in that bag. And
we were laughing about it.
We were laughing about it.
Because she really does struggle with expectations,
yes.
And having expectations and being disappointed when people don't meet those expectations. So she was like really praying about, I really want to go into this weekend not having those expectations. And then that first day, she gets this big test.
Well, the first big test was that Sue, Kim's mom, her car did not have air conditioning.
She was like, I don't know why I expected
it was like 96 degrees. I expected air conditioning.
She was like, oh, I should have known better. I told myself no expectations.
Yes. But it was absolutely beautiful. I didn't know anybody, and all of these people had written me letters and cooked me food, and I had a place to sleep, and they just made sure we got where we needed to go. I didn't know any of these people. I barely know Sue, and she was my sponsor. And I found it odd that Kim wasn't there. And then I found out she's never been on an actual walk as an adult.
Yeah.
So I stood up in front of the church at the end and said, I'm going to make sure she comes. But I was extremely grateful and felt very loved on the walk.
Getting that little glimpse.
And I was thankful for all the letters.
Yeah.
And I want to put names to faces. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah? Anything else?
Yeah, I feel like there's something else I said, but I don't remember.
Well, I just had, if you had anything you wanted to say, if this is going out on YouTube and someone's going through something similar, is there any words that you have for someone going through that struggle?
I thought you wrote it down, but there was one thing that I said, and she was like, oh, I'm going to write that down.
Yes.
But I feel like one thing that the last thing that popped into my head was.
I think you said the thing you wanted me to write down was that, but you touched on it, that you really thought God was hands off.
Yeah.
But He really is there with you.
The last thing was that I had that I wanted to say was I'd felt like I'd been through a lot of craziness, and I didn't understand why. And they talk about our generations, the newer generations, everyone feeling like they're a victim and things are happening to them. I've struggled with that. Having the father I had, it didn't help, but I realized that nothing I've ever been through has been as bad as what happened to Jesus. And again, I've had lots of things struck me this last year or two. That was one of them. It just hit me one day. God sent Jesus here, and Jesus never sinned. And the rest of us are pretty broken and have sinned. And he had the worst death imaginable. He was tortured, and he didn't deserve it. So it's not about what we deserve. It's about God having grace for us and forgiving us. And that's been extremely helpful, knowing that, again, the perspective like Paul, I could never be as perfect as Jesus, and Jesus got the worst of it. I've tried to use that to humble myself. It doesn't always work, but it's been helpful. Yeah. And I still have anger problems. When people say they just lost all their anger when they found Jesus, I'm like, I'm still working on it. And I saw a video of Ferry on the YouTube where he said God just took his anger one day, and I was like, can he share that story? Like, how did he just take his anger one day? I want my way there, but constant work in progress. Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Let me turn this off.